Okay, one more piece of good news in my life. Again, you manifest your life. If you go back in my video history, you'll see how. Maybe I'll just give a quick overview now, so you don't have to do that if you don't want to. But years ago, I went through the get a job, work for the company for a certain amount of time, and then wait for the inevitable layoff, right? When something happens, either an economic downturn or a corporate merger or something like that, where then they downsize. I've been through that several times. It's like a yo-yo, and it's never right after. It's usually after a few years, but it's always disheartening when it happens. You have your friends that you work with, you get along well with them, you fall into that groove where you like where you work or you like what you do, and then all of a sudden the rug gets pulled out from under you, and so that happened to me a few times through my working career, and frankly, I was sick of it. Um, there's two ways to look at that. Um, I got sick of it, but I now recognize that that is probably necessary from time to time in certain play lines. Is that the word? Timelines, storylines. It's necessary to move on. I mean, Neville Goddard spoke about how he said sometimes you need to get fired in order to get a better job. And you might tell me you listened to my advice and come up and say I listened to you and I got fired. And Neville would tell them, I don't even consider that. I don't want to even give that a second thought. You need it because you need that in order to end up in a better place, and that's happened to me every time. Okay, as disheartening and as gut wrenching as it is to maybe a group of people you love working with or a certain environment you like working in. You know, when I worked for Hewlett Packard for a number of years. Well, first I worked for a startup company. They weren't as actual startup when I joined them, but they still had that startup atmosphere. And I love working there. I love working there, but there were certain things to be desired, like the amount of pay. I still remember walking into one of the top guy's offices one time demanding a pay raise, and he pretty much told me in a nice way, there's the door, don't let it hit you in the butt on the way out. We're not giving you a raise. I mean, he didn't say it like that. He was like, we really like you, we like the quality of your work, but if you feel you need to go elsewhere, we'll support you in that. You know, um, that's where I was then. And that, but eventually, but I never left. I liked working there, and my journey. I didn't know about any of this stuff back then, so I thought I was stuck. So about that time, later on I started. They eventually got bought out by Hewlett Packard, so I worked in that situation for 5 years, and then about that time when that ended, I was starting to think like, there's got to be something better. There's got to be something better. There's got to be something better for me. And there was a big layoff because what happened was eventually it got to our location where the CEO at the time was doing a lot of cost cutting, and our location got axed, and I got laid off. I got severance pay. It was a nice severance package, but I got laid off. It was gut wrenching at the time. Again, didn't know about this stuff, so and other personal things at the time, which I mentioned in other videos. My life completely changed, completely reconfigured. Okay, completely reconfigured, and I think it was because I was asking questions to God, to my inner guide, to God, what we know is God, saying there must be more. I want more. I want something different. I don't like this anymore. I want something different. So anyway, so on the job front, which is what this is about, I got laid off. Now, I was laid off probably about a year, but I had several. I had a cushion. Plus, I had family. And anyway, um, So then I eventually ended up into the New York City career path, which is pretty good because um, the salary levels in New York City are very high. Again, the cost of living in New York City is very high, and the surrounding area is very high compared to other places. Okay, so you have to make a lot of money in order to live, but they're still higher than in some of the regions surrounding that area. So if you live in one of the regions surrounding that area, even though your cost of living is still comparably higher than it is in other places, that New York City salary is still very good. So anyway, that went for a number of years, and then it happened again. Now, that one, I wanted more. I wasn't completely happy. And I know on some level I was asking for more. And it happened. And again, it happened at a time when you would think is a bad time. I had just gotten married again. My wife was pregnant with our daughter. And I got laid off. Right? And on top of that, I had a health issue, another life-threatening health issue. I had a pulmonary embolism, my second one. I had my first one a number of years before that. I came down with another one. Now I'm on medication to prevent that. In between them, I wasn't eligible for that medication yet. So anyway, okay. So I end up in, and I went into detail in another video on how I was visualizing when I was laid off with the pregnant wife, and we were living with my parents, had to move in with them. I must be a great manifestor to manifest that kind of cushion and that kind of security to have parents to move in with. And I would see the bus that I would take into New York City, and I would say to myself, I would visualize being on that bus again. And it happened out of the nowhere. My boss, my ex-boss from where I just worked, he was a director. I don't think he was laid off yet. Eventually his turn came, but he emailed me. He said, you're still looking, right? He knew my situation. I said, yeah. Well, I know this guy over here who says they need somebody. I give you his contact info, whatever. So this, that, and the other thing, the interview was easy, which never happens. Even now, when they interview where I work, it's like multiple interviews with multiple people. It's an effort just to get a job. The competition, but for me, it was easy. I got in as a consultant, and then they eventually hired me, and now I'm in a union. I'm in a white-collar union. It's like, this is like amazing, right? I don't have to ask for raises. I don't have to beg. It's collective bargaining, right? So anyway, our new contract just came through, right? You work for a number of years with a contract. The last contract was great. So basically, my pay, when I first started with this gig, has gone up about $25,000 a year, right? Maybe a little more. Just from when I got the job to the last contract. So then you end up, what happens if when you don't have a contract, you continue working at your whatever you were making, and the union starts the whole process of renegotiating a new contract. So the new contract came through, and when these things come through, they're retroactive. So if we were working for 2 or 3 years without a contract, this new contract starts from the point of the ending of the old contract, right? So even though it's a 5-year contract, we're already, say, almost 3 years into it. So now I'm getting a percentage raise a year for the first year, the second year, and in a few months it'll be the third year, and it's all going to happen then. So I'll be getting 3 years of raises at one time, plus a several $1,000 ratification bonus, they call it. And then there's still 2 more years of these certain percentage raises after that, which is going to probably raise my salary, several tens of thousands, whatever. I don't want to go into too much detail, higher than what it is. So this is a wonderful thing, right? This was manifested. This was manifested. I got sick and tired. I was underpaid for years, years. And I accepted it as being, there's nothing else I can do about it. And through asking, not even knowing about this stuff, just through asking, I guess you can ask in God, the universe, your inner self, whatever. There's got to be more. I want more. It happened, and this journey has been amazing. And then once I found out about Neville, it all made sense. All that stuff that just seemed like happy accident, it's not accidental. Because you got so many other people who never have those accidents because they never ask. They never ask. You get these people who end up in the street or whatever, bouncing around from this or that. Some people just don't ask. It never dawns on them to ask, to petition for something better, right? You have that power. Your power is amazing. And the power here is unbelievable, okay? So I just want to say the good fortune comes, and it comes, I wasn't even thinking about this contract thing. You know, I was basically, you know, every once in a while my wife would ask me, when are you getting a raise? So I don't know. I can't ask for one. It doesn't work like that. And usually when a single person, an individual person goes and asks for one, what's the answer, you know? That's when you switch jobs in order to get raises. You have to go here or go there in order to raise your salary. And it's ridiculous you got to do that. But in my case, I stopped doing that years ago. I'm done with that. I'm done. And it's not an accident. It's not random. All right? Your story will be completely different than mine. But you can make it happen. You can make it happen. You can manifest your future to be secure. Do as Neville says, I have a steady, lavish, dependable income with mutual benefit. You know, he says that one. I think I have that one down in my playlist somewhere. Look at my video list. You can do it. You can manifest a good life. I have a good life. I don't want to be greedy, but of course I want more, and I keep manifesting, but I'm in a pretty good place. You may already be in a great place. Maybe you're not. Maybe you want more. Listen to Neville. Listen to the Neville stuff. Listen to it. Listen to it for more than a few minutes, okay? You can't just listen for 2 minutes. You got a 46-minute lecture, and you're gonna turn it off after 2 minutes. I mean, I see my analytics. So many people come into YouTube, and they've got that shiny ball syndrome. And again, not to begrudge or bad talk my fellow YouTubers, but there's so many YouTubers out there with these clickbait titles and this, do this technique and you'll get it. And it's like, well, which technique do I do? The guy's got 15 videos in the last 3 weeks. And in every video, he's telling me this technique is the best. This technique will do it. No, this technique will do it. Well, which one of your techniques, pal, are the one that works? Do they all work? If you're telling me this one is the best, you tell me all the other ones you post are garbage? You got to be careful who you listen to out there. Okay? You have to be careful. Don't fall for the, I like to call them snake oil salesmen. Now, many of them may be preaching Neville, but they're not, okay? So be careful. Be careful what you consume out there. I try to stick closely to Neville type stuff because that's where I have had my success, even before I knew what it was. But once I found out about Neville, it's so closely aligned. It's scary, okay? So, I'm here to help. Okay, I'm here to help. I try to turn out a lot of these videos and a lot of varied content to help you and try to highlight some of my own journey here to give you some hope, some bolster your faith, stuff like that. So I hope this helps somebody. I hope somebody appreciates it. And please like and subscribe, and check out the other videos. Check them out. Watch, listen to the Neville lectures. They're all important. They're all important. The stuff you gain from Neville is unbelievable, okay? It'll come for you. It'll come out of the nowhere.